Previously on Gainz Poker.
Gonna find a new location tomorrow. So this is day 2 of our 6 days out here in Vegas, and can't wait to see what tomorrow brings, because again, you just never know.
Right, you just never know. Like yesterday, I made some more phone calls early this morning while I was working out to see if I was allowed to film, and lucky for us, we got another green light. So we're off to that location right now on this beautiful afternoon. Not only is it perfect weather, not 115 degrees outside like Vegas is known for, but the other reason it's a beautiful day is because
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? We're ready. Are you ready for some football?
Yup, football season is upon us. It's the last preseason game before the official 2024 NFL season kicks off. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And what more of an excuse do you really need to come to Vegas?
What's up, guys? We just got to Red Rock. There's a little bit of a drive, 15-20 minutes. Not bad. Yeah, close parking. But yeah, we just got to Red Rock, called and got the okay that we can film. So gonna hit up a new location for the channel, and we only have a couple hours, to be honest, because the game is in a couple hours. So we are gonna try to get into the mix. Yeah, it's locked. Yeah, as soon as we can. So I don't even know what games they have running. I was like, just put me down for whatever. Hell, even if it's Omaha, I am down. Don't care. But just another location, and gonna try to get as many hands as we can for you guys. So let's see what this place is all about. Maybe it's some good action. We'll see. So I'll let you guys know. Stay tuned.
Like I said, we're at Red Rock Casino. It is Friday, August 23rd, and the game is at 7 p.m. here in Vegas. So not too much time, because got to make it to the game. But also, my family's in town, who are all diehard Niner fans. So gonna pick them up first and head to the game. The biggest game they had going here, which also had a seat available, was 3-5 no limit with a $1,500 max buy-in. So that's what we sit with. But before we start, one more thing. Remember the last 2 vlogs? I didn't have my Muscle Mouse card protector. The fam flew in late last night, and right when I realized I didn't have it with me, I called them up and asked if they can go to my house and grab it. So my dad for the win. We got our signature card protector back. Let's see if it brings us some good luck. Let's get started. We start the session off a 2:15, and gonna go through these first few hands rapid fire style, but a few hands in, we have pocket 2s in early position. We open to 15 and get 4 callers. The flop is ace 5-3 with 2 diamonds. I c-bet and get 2 callers. We continue on a brick turn. We eliminate 1 player, and the river is a 8 of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush. I check, opponent bets, and I fold. The next hand, which I couldn't find the video of for some reason, but we had notes, so it must have happened. We had king 10 offsuit on the button. We open to 15, get 2 callers. Flop middle pair, we c-bet and take it down. All right, now we can slow it down a little bit. We're in the cutoff in this hand. It folds around to us, and we look down at some suited broadways, queen jack of hearts. We raise it up to 15. The button folds, but both blinds make the call, so 3 ways to a flop in position. And it comes king queen 2 with 2 clubs. We flop middle pair again. Both blinds check and flow to us, and 2 face cards on board. Should be better for our range, and there's a few clubs out there. Some draws we can get value from. So we c-bet a 3rd pot and throw out $15. Not expecting 1 c-bet to get the job done, and I was right, they both make the call. So still 3 ways to a turn, and it comes a 9 of spades. The front door flush miss, but the board is getting a little more dicey now. They both check on over for a second time, and I don't like the idea of facing 2 players, and like the flop now, there's even more draws, pair plus draws that we're ahead of that we'll need to pay to see the next card. So we continue, but I think we make a mistake and don't make it enough. We only throw out $35. The small blind seems to agree it's a good price. He makes the call right away, but the big blind mucks his cards. So I guess we got what we wanted. Off to a river now, heads up, and it comes the 8 of hearts. It doesn't change much of anything because Jack 10 was already a straight. So unless he had 9-8 or queen 8 of clubs, we're still good. The small blind checks again for a 3rd time. And I don't know a hand that can call a bet that's worse than ours, so we just take our second pair to showdown and check back. I announce a queen, flip it over, and it's good. He mucks. So taking a few pots down with middle pair and building some momentum. Let's keep it going. Half an orbit later, we're in the end of the gun, and no straddles have been made yet, and we don't have a lot of time, so we put on the $10 under the gun straddle. Action folds around to the button, who raises to $35. The blinds get out of the way. We're next to act and look down at pocket ace, no, 5-4 offsuit. It's the first straddle of the session, and I don't know these players, they don't know me, so let's defend this one and see what happens. Going off to a flop, heads up, out of position, and it comes 10-9-8 rainbow. We're not exactly hating this board. Yeah, we completely miss, but this board screams under the gun straddle defend. We check to the aggressor, as per usual. He c-bets, as I expect him to do majority of the time, as I think this is a big mistake recreational players make, that they c-bet way too often and not take account the board texture, ranges, and range advantage. Because on this board, I'm going to have way more sets, 2 pairs, and straights than he would have. Just something to keep in mind when you're playing your next session. So like I said, he does c-bet for the same amount as pre-flop, $35. And now my brain goes into how would I play this if I had these hands we talked about, sets, straights. Not me in particular, but most players wouldn't raise right away. They just smooth call. So that's what we decided to do and just smooth call the $35. And really just hoping for any card lower than the board so we can lead the turn. The turn does come, and it's the best card in the deck. It's a 2 of spades. Brings in the backdoor flush draw, but a total brick. We asked for a brick and we got one, so we stick with the plan to lead, and we do, and make it $60. We don't have to make it too much, because if he happens to call with a flush draw or something like ace-jack for open-ended, we can still steal this pot at the end with a favorable river. He tanks for about 10 seconds, and then gives his cards back to the dealer. I think ace-high snap folds, so I'm guessing we got an overpair to let it go. Just a spot demonstrating that cards in your hand is sometimes irrelevant. It's more important position, board texture, and the opponent you're going against. 2 hands later, we're in the small blind. There's one limper for $5, folds to the button, who raises to 25. Action on us, and we have a premium, ace-king of hearts. Major upgrade from last hand, so gonna bump up the price of poker, and we make it 85 to go. 3x plus a little extra for being out of position, the worst position. The big blind gets out of the way, the hijack limper folds, action back on the button. He doesn't take too long before making the call for 60 more. So off to a flop, heads up, and we hit top pair on a king-queen 4 2-diamond board. Not bad, only hand that we aren't blocking is pocket queens, but perhaps sometimes that hand 4-bets pre-flop, and king-queen we are blocking, so definitely top tier flop for us. We're first to act, and we c-bet, down bet to $55. He makes the call pretty quickly, so standard so far. The turn is not the best card, it's a jack of spades, so board is just a little more connected now. It brings in straight possibilities and more 2-pair combinations. We slow down this time and check to see what he wants to do. He takes a few seconds and decides to check back, so a free card coming. And the river is even worse, it's a 9 of diamonds, so everything gets there. The front door flush comes in, and now any 10 makes a straight. We're kind of done with this one. We check again, and basically gonna snap fold when he bets. I really wanted to open muck, to be honest, but play the game in order. I didn't want to be that guy and check. He surprisingly checks back, so most likely we're winning. I show, and it's good enough. Wow, I'm just as shocked as you are. He even said after the hand that he played it very terribly. I don't think he ever said what he had, but no matter what it was, I kind of have to agree with him. He didn't play it too well, but it results us with chips being pushed our way, so not complaining. Not too long after, we're in the end of the gun 1. The end of the gun, first to act, opens to $20. We're next and look down at another good hand, pocket queens. We 3-bet, cold 3-bet to $75. It folds around to the big blind, who makes the call, and the original raiser folds, which was not expected. Typically, the end of the gun opens are stronger, and he was closing the action, getting a good price since the big blind called. But anyways, we're heads up to a flop in position, and the flop comes Jack 9-3 rainbow. The big blind checks and flow to us, and we have an overpair on a rainbow board, gonna be put in a c-bet. There's $173 in the middle, So we go a third pot and throw out $55. Can probably even make it more, but that's what we decide to go with. And he doesn't take too long before making the call. The turn is a 9 of diamonds, pairing the middle card, a much better card for his range than ours. But when he checks to us again for a second time, gonna be going for value, targeting all jack holdings. And if we get any resistance, should get some resistance if we are behind. So we feel pretty confident in the situation when we continue for $105. And we don't even need to hold our breath because he snap folds. I know I said we're gonna get into the mix quick, and we definitely did. Lucky for us, we are actually getting some decent pre-flop holdings. In this hand, we pick up another pocket pair, pocket sixes. We're in the big blind. There's an under the gun straddle for $10. The action folds to the hijack, who limps. Cut off, button, and the small blind muck their cards. Action on us, and we raise things up to 30. Should have made it more, $40, maybe even $45, but just telling you what we did, not what you should do. The under the gun straddle folds, and the limper makes the call. The problem with only making it $30 is it's harder to narrow down the limper's range. If we made it the correct sizing, the range of the hands are definitely cut down to less holdings, less options for him to have. I hope that makes sense. For example, if we made it $100, say, he calls, then the only hands who are calling $100 are a few holdings, a few combination of hands. Does that make sense? I hope so. If it's going totally over your head, then comment down below the time and the confused emoji, and I'll explain it to you a little more. And for those of you who are still with us, we're heads up to a flop, out of position, and boom, right in the window, we see a 6. Let's go. A king high 2 diamond board. The hijack, who is an older gentleman, checks out of turn, which is rare, someone doing that at lower stakes as an angle. So I take it as it is that he didn't hit the board, but I would hate to check and he checks and the board goes runner, runner, flush, or some BS like that. So we see bet a third pot, keeping things consistent, and throw out $25. He pretty much snap folds. Can't always win the max, but it's nice. Always nice to flop a set. Most of those hands happen within a 30-minute span, so back to reality now, to normal, because it took us almost an hour to get involved again. A few new players sit down, and our opponent from last hand, the older gentleman, turned into a younger Asian player. We're in the small blind, and the under gun straddle is on. Folds to this new player in the hijack, who raises to $25. The cutoff and button fold. We're next to act and look down at pocket kings. We 3-bet and make it $60 to go. I had in my notes that I made it 85, but when I watched the clip again, it's only 60. So film doesn't lie, and it is $60 to go. The big blind and the under gun straddle folds. Action back on the hijack, and he quickly makes a call for $35 more. We're heads up to a flop, out of position, against a new player, and it comes ace 6-5 rainbow. Of course, kings are ace magnets. Every poker player knows that. We're first to act, and even though there's an ace out there, the ace favoring us, so we make a c-bet and throw out $45. A down bet, the hijack basically snap calls, so not the best of situations to be in, but we're off to a turn, and it comes a jack of spades. No help to us, so now I'm thinking, what would we do if we had ace king, ace queen? We'd continue, but for how much? There's $225 in the middle, so we go less than a third pot and make it $85. Don't think we gotta make it too big to get him to fold, and if we do get called, probably gonna shut it down on most rivers. But we don't have to worry about that, because he folds pretty quickly. The game is shortly approaching, so not much longer to play, but gonna make the best of it, and gonna save the best for last, best starting hand in poker that is, because we have pocket aces in middle position. There's another gun straddles at $10. The guy next to act, who was a newer player to the table, he raises it up to $30. We're next, and this is a straight up raise, right? Yes and no. Hear me out real quick. There was a player at our table in the cutoff who lost a few big pots and was saying he was getting ready to go, only had around $140 left in his stack, maybe less, and he had his hand on his short stack, looking like he was ready to push in. So we 3-bet to only $75. And the reason for the small raise is because if we made it a standard 3-bet, $90 or $100, and he does happen to jam, the under the gun is getting a good price to call, and the action is closed. But since we made it a smaller size, and if he does jam for $140, that reopens the action for more raises to happen. So thinking ahead, using our brains a little, and right on schedule, the cutoff does go all in for $140. It folds around to the undergun 1 who snap folds, so apparently he didn't have much. Oh well. We flip our cards over and our opponent doesn't, so not too sure what we have to fade, but the board is paired, no flushes available, but a lot of low cards, and when our opponent flips over his cards, we have to look twice because his low cards look like the ones on the board, but he had a pair and 4 to a straight, so we take it down. After counting his chips, it was enough to reopen the action, and a good, well, not good, great example, I should say, of that sort of situation is on one of my first vlogs that I ever posted. I'll link it down in the description box below or pop it up somewhere. We get into a much bigger all-in pot, but exact same scenario where the player next to us jams and I have a clear vision of his chips. I raise just enough so when another player calls, it reopens the action. You really got to check that vlog out if you haven't already. It'll even give you a better perspective on how far the vlogs have come in just 1 year of doing this. But that's all I got for this session. We play another orbit or so, then rack up our chips and cash out.
There you go, guys. That's what's up. Only a couple hours playing, and I think we got a decent amount of hands for you guys. I mean, what a way to end it, right? With pocket aces and somebody going all in. I mean, it wasn't for very much. It was like 150 bucks, but whatever. I mean, they still held, so that's awesome. But yeah, gonna try to make a decent, quick vlog out of this. But no, great spot here at Red Rock. The staff was super cool. They even gave me knuckles when I came in. They're like, Gainz, yeah, we remember you calling, and yeah, you're good to go for filming. So just no faces and don't talk crap, I guess. But they didn't say that. But no, it was fun. Won $500, a little over $500 in the span of 2 hours. I will take that. Much better than yesterday. So that's awesome. Where the F did I park? I don't even know where I parked, to be honest. Hopefully you find it. If you see this, then we found it. But yeah, we're gonna head to the game, go pick up the fam, and head to the game. Preseason, last preseason of 2024, San Francisco and the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. So that'll be awesome. Never been to a preseason game. Been to some games out in the Bay, regular games, but never a preseason game. So we will get to that, but have a great day. Probably show you some shots of the stadium, and yeah, go Niners. But always remember, I'm Matty Ice. I don't even have my hat, but I'm Matty Ice. This is Gainz Poker. Peace out.
I am so glad I left when I did because the traffic to get to the stadium was insane. Did not expect it to take that long for a preseason game. I think we were in parking lot S or something like that, which was really close to the stadium. Only had to cross one street. There's a pic of all of us in the parking lot ready to go in. My little brother even bought an old school Polaroid, so that's why that pic looks like something from the 1990s. Tons of people going through security, and love the outside mirror. Well, not really a mirror, but reflection. Always flexing. It was a really nice stadium. Can tell it was a little newer. Glad it was a dome. The Raiders fans probably appreciate that, because I'm sure the midday games get super hot. We're about 8 rows up, so really good seats too. Some of the starters on both teams played a few series, and even though it wasn't as intense as a regular season game, because the preseason doesn't technically matter, it still gave you chills down your spine that football is finally here. The game was back and forth the whole time. It did end up in a 24-24 tie, which was whatever. Again, the whole goal of the preseason, just trying to keep as many of your guys healthy as possible. But even though it was a tie, it had to have had one of the craziest of endings I've ever seen. I honestly didn't even see the flag, so I thought the play was still live and legit, and seeing a big boy almost score coming towards our section was wild. But that's all I got. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure and like the video if you liked it. Let me know down below in the comments if you enjoyed the new locations, the last 2 videos, and a little behind the scenes non-poker action. But until next time, remember, it's a blessed day. Keep working hard, stay flexing. I'm Matty Ice. This is Gainz Poker. Peace out.